When was the last time you had to calm down an upset tenant? In property management, people often think of the work as operational. Budgets, maintenance, compliance, but in reality, so much of the job is people. What drives their behavior and how do they respond under pressure can make or break the success of a property. Today, we're going to unpack the psychology behind tenant relations. We'll explore what's changing in resident behavior, how to build trust even in conflict, and what it takes to create a community. To help me explore this, we are joined here by Sean Taylor, Senior Property Manager at Forest Hill Kipling, who has been leading the charge in understanding the human side of property management. Sean, welcome to MAXPower Insights. Thank you so much for coming by today.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been at the forefront of property management for many years now, but I wanted to start right at the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got here today?
I think this is a common theme. If you talk to 100 property managers, they're going to tell you the same thing. We got here by accident. So my accident in getting into condominium management was, it actually started as a board member. So I was serving on a condo board. As a matter of fact, I still serve on that condo board today. I've stepped away from it and have come back to it.
Nice.
And the management company at the time asked me if I was interested in working with them. And I had a bunch of things going on a personal basis, so I said I can only do this part-time. I just want to dabble a little bit, and I got bitten by the bug, and I really haven't looked back. What was a part-time role covering sick leaves and vacations quickly became a full-time opportunity for me, and I've really enjoyed the last 8, almost 9 years at this point.
Amazing. Was there any specific moments in that journey that you're like, okay, yeah, this is the one thing that made me think maybe I actually do want to pursue this sort?
I would say on a personal level, ownership. Having some real estate was something that my late mother was never able to achieve. My parents divorced at a young age, and I think if you talk to a lot of people from split situations, single motherhood, it doesn't set you up properly. So that was always a dream of hers, and so it became a dream of mine that I got to own something.
Yeah. And
one of the things that I see in my role today is these new owners. You can always tell who a first-time buyer is when they come in, and the level of questions that they give you and excitement. So that was me a few years ago, and so I kind of see that when we get new owners come into the office to register their documents and
Okay. Yeah. Do you have when you say you can notice the new tenant, does that normally mean, or the new buyer, does that normally mean they're better, worse, or are they more so just very passionate about an investment opportunity for themselves?
I'm gonna say there are two kinds of buyers. So you have the new buyer who intends to live in the place, in their unit. And the level of questions that they have are typically far more detailed.
Okay.
So they want to know things about all of the finishes.
Yeah.
They want to know lots of details about all of the amenities in a building or that a property has to offer. They're going to ask you questions about the neighborhood. They're going to ask you questions about their neighbors even.
Yeah.
That we find investor owners tend to take a more clinical approach to it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and that's when they got to start pulling out the books, going through all the finishes and all that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they want to know all the paint codes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
what are the fixtures?
Yeah, and then obviously that's more so on the owner level, but of course people in your property are coming in on a rental, leasing, basis as well. I mean, we found a Yardi report stating that around 23% of tenants per year are leaving their property on a rental notice. That means every 4 years a person will leave a place. Obviously that's not a lot of time with so many people in a property to get to know them, and relationship building is such a large part of what you do. I wanted to know what your strategy is and how you approach the kind of faster turnover rate.
Well, I would say in my own personal experience, my own personal practice, I've spent a lot of time downtown. So we're close to a lot of educational institutions, post-secondary institutions, and so the turnover is probably higher in the Toronto core versus some others. So if you're telling me the average tends to work up to 4 years, we tend to see 12 to 16 months in a lot of the properties
Wow.
in the downtown core in terms of that turnover.
Yeah.
So it becomes difficult to build those relationships. We rely on technology in some instances. So every time somebody's moving in, we want documentation that they actually have the right to be there. We also want their photo ID. We want a candid picture of them that we can use on our resident portal. So that not only helps us, but it also helps the staff for just practical things.
For sure.
Like collecting parcels and things like that. We want to make sure that we're giving Jane's parcel to...
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, of course. I mean, one thing, we were talking about the different types of tenants here. We all know that there can be ones that are more tough, and conflict is sure to arise if you're in close proximity with hundreds of people that are very passionate about their home, And we've asked other property managers about, and it's something that comes up all the time as well, about conflict, but I wanted to know Sean Taylor's, sort of guide to conflict resolution.
I would say my first approach is you've got to educate. And what I mean by that is in most of the condominium projects, particularly in the downtown core, the majority of the residents are renters. And so in my professional practice, we try to help people understand and educate what's the difference between a condominium versus an apartment building.
Yeah.
And we try to lay it out for everyone in terms of, I'll give you an example. And this is a live example. Earlier today, somebody came to us because their dishwasher didn't work.
Okay.
All right. So, and it was a tenant. So we've explained it to them in that this is really the unit owner's responsibility, but we don't just leave it there. So we do keep a short list of trades and contractors that might be more relevant for the tenant situation or the unit owner situation. So we give them some reference points and some direction as to where they can reach out to get those types of issues resolved. We see that stuff just about every day in our practice. So in most instances, they walk away satisfied knowing that we're responsible for the elevators and the swimming pools. You're responsible for your dishwasher and your microwave, or your landlord is.
Very fair. I mean, you mentioned earlier in the last question about technology being so at the forefront of assisting you and your team. In regards to specifically conflict resolution, is there something technology-based there that you see coming up a lot that's helping you guys?
I would say there's an opportunity for us to get better. It's conflict resolution. What typically happens is we're the complaints department is what I like to say. So honestly, particularly after hours, our first point of contact is usually the concierge downstairs. It's not, and if it's something they can address, they do. And if they can't, then those individuals get referred to us. My approach is almost agnostic. We try to establish the facts. Right. Particularly in high-rise situations, you're going to get a lot of noise complaints or smoking complaints and things like that. So we want to understand, where's the source? Was it properly investigated? Because I can't bring you a resolution to your problem unless we understand the source of the problem and validate that it really is a problem to the extent that that person might claim it is. Again, comes back to that point of education and helping people understand that this is a communal living situation. You're not going to get everything the way you want all the time. And there has to be some compromise. There has to be some middle ground.
For sure.
So does technology help us? I'd say the best way to resolve conflict is face-to-face.
Of course.
We do rely on resident portals, a lot of electronic communication. That's largely for documentation.
Okay.
You do get those tough clients who might be persistent in whatever their issue is, saying it's not resolved. So as the condominium manager, if there is a violation or that leads to some sort of conflict, we need to be able to document what happened, what we've done as the condominium corporation or as the management to try and resolve that. And so therefore the written communication kind of becomes our default to kind of show the paper trail of what we're doing.
Exactly. Show evidence of your actual. I mean, you've been in the industry now for almost 9 years, and I'm sure you've seen every sort of tenant in and out of the properties. Something that we're interested in talking about, and we're seeing a little bit of a change in, the real estate market in general, is kind of a shift of attitude towards, the tenants specifically for our conversation, but everyone's attitude towards the real estate market. I think that there could be a lot of factors involved, economic, the younger generation becoming older, entering the workforce, things of that nature. And I wanted to know what you think is the reasoning behind specifically tenant shifts in behavior, what they expect, how they act towards you, things of that nature in the current environment in comparison to when you first started.
I would say tenant shifts in behavior. I think the developer community, I know you've had some speakers that kind of represent that constituency, they've been responsive. So what we hear from tenants are more interest in what are the amenities.
Yes.
So things that would have initially been marketed as a selling feature to that buyer is equally important, if not more important, to the tenant that's going to be using those amenities while they're living there. So they want to know that the gym equipment is fantastic. Pragmatic things, we've got so many people working from home. Or school is largely online versus when I went to school, you actually sat in the lecture hall.
Yeah.
So now people are talking about what's the internet speed in the conference room, because I need to, I need to write an exam and they're going to book the conference room or use the library or something like that. So there, that nuance is something we probably didn't see 5 or 6 years ago, particularly before the pandemic. But now that your home kind of doubles as your workspace or your, or your study lounge or something like that. We're looking at the amenities and, the fact that they play multiple roles depending on who that person is. That same library might just be a quiet reading space for the empty nester retiree. Yeah. Like I said, it's the lecture hall for the younger student going to one of the colleges or universities in the neighborhood.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's, as you said earlier, it's a shared living environment. So what would be one person's safe space or whatever is another person's study room. Yeah, for sure. Given that, is there a shift in kind of like the schedule or agenda that you and your team have made, given the fact that there's people coming in now that are, in comparison to 6 years ago, that are using the space for different things or, acting in different manners?
I would say if I go back to that first condo where I was on the board, we had a set of rules that said, the gym is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I manage a property now where the gym is effectively 24 hours. To accommodate people's schedules, where the fact that the world has become smaller, so you might have somebody based in Toronto who's actually working on a project in Singapore. They've got to take that call at 2 o'clock in the morning because it's 2 p.m. on that side of the world. So they need that conference space. Whereas normally condo rules would have said this space is closed at this hour. We're leaving things open to accommodate those sorts of needs.
Amazing. Yeah. Now we've talked about the past. I want to look at the future. I mean, there's only so much that we can predict, but given your experience, I wanted to know where you think this is headed. Do you think it's headed in a positive or a negative light? Do you think this is going to, change the way that developers build, that managers manage properties, things like that? I think
there's going to be a demand in the developer community to build larger units.
Yeah.
That's a function of economics. It's a function of reality, particularly in the GTA. The 500-foot efficiency studio. We had an influx of people that that probably worked for. Now they're settling. Now they want to start families, but they're probably not ready to make the leap to the $1.2 million fully detached house.
Yeah, right, for sure.
But they're going to need more than 500, so maybe they need 1,000 square foot unit, right, to accommodate their new, marital status, their new family status. And so I think you're going to see a shift to more demand for that in the marketplace.
Yeah, kind of just like expansion sort of thing. Yeah, for sure. I wanted to take a quick moment here to talk about, we're thinking of the future, and you just said it as well. There's going to be higher demand for managers. If you were to, kind of mentor a new manager coming in, they probably had experience in security or something, but not in management. What would be some key things that you would bring to their attention at the beginning?
I would say whatever you do, work on your communication skills,
Yeah.
and that comes in a lot of different ways. And when I say communication, it can be written communication, it can be spoken communication. Just the sensitivity if you're working in a multicultural community. So the fact that my team will recognize that it's Ramadan or Nowruz or other holidays that aren't the traditional Western Christian ideal, gives your residents a sense that, hey, I'm recognized.
Yeah.
And it gives us more of a human face. So you have to, as the manager, understand that your constituency is not homogeneous. And if there's any way that you can find a way to connect with various cultures and constituencies, I think it makes you more powerful.
Yeah.
In your work. It also helps you understand when conflicts do arise. What's the nature of the conflict? What are those folks' sensitivities who are bringing these complaints to you, or what are the sensitivities on the other end of people? So it's communication is key. When I went through the program to become a licensed manager, there were 4 courses. You get some legal training, you do some financial management, you understand physical assets and the mechanicals of a building, and there was a course called Human Relations and Administration. I'd probably go back to that binder more than the others.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
At this point, once you learn building systems, it almost becomes intuitive, right?
Yeah.
And if the boiler works, the boiler works, and if the valve breaks, the valve breaks, and you replace it. You can always go back to an instance or something in that human relations aspect of your training that says, let me go back and look at what what the textbook said about this. So that's probably 3/4 of my job.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, so many people you're dealing with all the time, they're all different, so you have to always, and it's something that we've talked about before, and I've talked about with so many managers, is that one of the most important things is education. Even when you already are, a manager, and you've been doing it for years, going back to school, and learning from others, talking with other people is one of the best ways that you can learn, because you're never going to know it all. And I think for the final thing today, I just want you to kind of very easily, for the audience, kind of label out some key takeaways that a person interested in our industry should learn.
I think you also have to be a team player. If I'm the hiring manager and I'm looking for people to join my team, I'm actually looking for people who don't necessarily have the academic strengths. I mean, there's a baseline you have to meet there, but I'm looking for team players. And I'm looking for leadership potential, because everybody comes to the management function. Whether it's your vendors, whether it's your condo board, the residents, the owners, the staff, the contractors. Sometimes it's the police, depending on what's or first responders, depending on the emergency you're dealing with in your building. So you need to get comfortable with making decisions quickly that will affect the lives and livelihoods of other people. So we're really looking for people in our industry who can think fast on their feet. And feel comfortable knowing that they've got some tools and they've got some support, but ultimately these decisions sometimes rest with them, because there might be times when you don't have the time to consult the board of directors. Because your ultimate boss, your ultimate client, you got to do it on the fly.
Very fair. Well, Sean, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it. And thank you for watching MAXPower Insights.